Flemington Speedway, the most magical, unforgettable, exciting, compelling, filthy, dangerous, loud, eternally mobbed weekly racetrack I ever experienced. It was a four-cornered square racetrack. So wherever you sat, assuming you were sitting in the stands, because they had no conventional media center there was no such thing. They had a big covered grandstand and bleachers going almost all the way around the track and gates around it through which the race teams that were pitted in the infield would pull. And every program started out with the golden tones of Bill Singer saying, "Close all gates around the speedway, please." If you went there, you would be inevitably sitting on the outside of a corner, because if you were going to take the track at any kind of racing speed, you were diamonding the corners to the point where the track was a circle now, not a square. And these guys were going absolutely flat out. I mean, in a sprint car, Flemington was a no-lift track. Doug Wolfgang, who I saw both win there and hit the wall so hard he broke a sprint car completely in two, called it the most frightening track he'd ever driven in his life. You were flat out. You could not see the exit to the corner as a driver, so you could go headlong into a pileup that you couldn't even see. And meanwhile, as far on the outside of the track, the fans are sitting in the stands getting absolutely, if you can imagine a blizzard of dirt being propelled at you by a gale force wind, that's what being in the stands at Flemington was like. People came there wearing goggles and with bandanas tied over their faces. I saw that. Okay. So you'd be there with these guys in big block modifieds going by you completely sideways, just a few feet away. And if somebody got into the fence there and flipped, which was usually good to happen about 2 or 3 times every single night, I mean, I saw cars get into the stands there several times.
Talk about a visceral experience. And
it was a big party because, I mean, if you spend enough time there, you would probably sooner rather than later realize, and I'm trying to put this as politely as I can, that a lot of the people in attendance there were not race fans. Are you reading me here? They were there to party. They were like Indianapolis snake pit type denizens who showed up at this track because there was no spectator gate. You bought your tickets when you drove onto the property, like a drag strip, and there was no spectator gate. So you parked in the lot and just walked to your seat. And these people will walk in there carrying like 2 and 3 cases of beer to get them through the night. And it was nuts. It was like Woodstock or like Altamont every Saturday night there. And when Flemington first paved and then closed, all those people just disappeared. I have no idea what happened to them. I can tell you they didn't show up at any of the other racetracks because I looked. They didn't show up at Orange County. They didn't show up at Grandview. They didn't show up at Wall Stadium to watch cars on asphalt because when Flemington closed, it was a paved track.
Well, what do you mean you looked? They didn't go to the others you looked? Like you're auditing who went to one or another?
Not auditing in the mathematical or accounting sense, but I mean, you could see if you walked through a spectator area, I mean, you had the same groups of fans have been coming for years to put their blankets on the seats in the same location.
Okay.
There's on end, and none of these checks. And also the reason I know is because I asked some of the promoters. I said, "Have you picked up any of the Flemington crowd?" I know I asked Bruce Rogers at Grandview that, and he goes, "No." He goes, "No, none of them." And a lot of that crowd did come from Pennsylvania. And I asked John Snyder, who covered the races at Orange County and did their PR for a lot of years, still does, as a matter of fact. John Snyder from Area Auto Racing News, very good columnist. I said, "John, are you getting any of these people?" "No, they disappeared. They found something else to do. Maybe they took up darts or something. I don't know."
Okay, well, so that was a phenomena on its own that, like you said, not necessarily into the racing. It was just like a social experiment.
I ended up at Ascot for the Don Peabody Classic. First time I was ever in Los Angeles. Kerry Agajanian credentialed me, and I was wearing a Flemington T-shirt that night. I had people coming up to me in the stands and said, "Wow, you've been to Flemington?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I live near there." And they said, "What's it like? Is it as wild as they say it is?" Yeah. I said, "You only saw the part that got into the magazines." I said, "Imagine what the rest of it is like." Yeah, so it was a lot of fun. Yeah, Flemington was. I mean, it's one of these things in life that falls into the category of too good to last. It was an aesthetic triumph of dirt track racing, because to get around there quickly and stay out of trouble was not an easy thing to do. If you won a major race at Flemington, like the 200 lapper they had every year, or any World of Outlaws race that they had there, or URC sprint car race, that was an accomplishment. You definitely dodged a bullet.
This has been Jeff Stearns, Connected Through Cars.